Well, Beau Dietl's here, and welcome, Mr. Dietl.
Good morning, Don.
So anyway, let me tell you the story as quickly and briefly as possible. And I'll tell you where Beau got involved. And by the way, Beau's company, he acts goofy sometimes, but, man, he has got a great company. They do all of the background checks for all of the people who work at the ranch, because you never can take any chances with some nut out here with all these kids. So anyway, we get a kid the other night, last Thursday, whenever it was, who is threatening to kill everybody. So, it's just the kids emotionally can see that. But we can't, Dave and I can't take any chances.
Of course not.
Because these people from all over the world have sent their kids here, and it's our job to protect them. So we all live in the main house together. Our bedroom's here, and then the kids are they're all down the hall. So the other kids are all terrified. And so we have to isolate this child until we can get her off the ranch. Mm-hmm. So we put her with the nurse down in the town, and we call her parents, and her parents say, well, we can't afford to come get her. I said, well, if I told you that I was going to turn her over to child welfare, what would you do then? He said, well, then I guess I'd have to take my money out of the savings. In other words, their initial reaction, we've had to send other kids home, the parents' reaction is always, well, I can't afford to come out and get, as though we can. So, but we sent her back anyway. And we had to fly her parents out here to pick her up. Yeah. So it's an enormous expense, but we'll do whatever we can to protect these kids. So we got her off the ranch. That morning, she hadn't even left yet. The next morning, the two kid wranglers, we've taken in place of the child life specialist. We got tired of pain, and come to us, and they are hysterical. Sobbing. And one of them, Jennifer, has text messages on her phone saying that this person is writing her saying, I'm going to get you for what you did to me.
Oh, man.
And so, but they interpret that, and they got two text messages on their phone, and they got a voice message, and their interpretation, both kid wranglers, they wouldn't even go in the house. They would stand out in the middle of the road here in the ranch, just so terrified that they were going to be killed. So we had a phone number shows up on the phone. And it's an Ohio area code. And so the one kid, Jennifer, who's really hysterical, she's from Ohio. So Deborah said, well, you must have opened the... So we figured that she had either told a friend of hers or what had happened, because they had details about what had happened to this kid, why we were sending her home, the name of another kid. But the point is, the kids were terrified, all of them. And then we thought, well, maybe it was, one of the kids had a cell phone here and was just playing a practical joke or whatever. Mm-hmm. Or not a practical joke, but was serious. So we had to determine that none of the kids had their phones. So I called Beau. Deirdre did, I did. And had him trace the number. And what did we find, Beau?
Well, first of all, you and Dietl did a great detective job before even calling me. I think you guys had an idea. When we had the phone number there, it went back to Ohio, and then we did a reverse, and I was able to ascertain that it came from an insurance company. It was a cell phone from an insurance company, and we had enough of ammunition to understand that this was coming from the one girl's, Jennifer's, parent. Now, the father probably worked for this company, which I spoke to myself. The man was a moron. That's all I got to say about it.
In other words, it was the parents thinking it was funny to play a practical joke, to send these text messages and then this phone message to the daughters suggesting that they were going to get her when she was already terrified for what had happened the night before.
I explained to the father also, by these threats, by him texting if you do a cell phone, if you use a computer, and you start doing these threats over the internet or even over the telephone, what you have here is a felony you're committing. And I told him, if the Imuses choose to have you locked up, you punk, I said, you're going to get locked up. He started quabbling and quibbling and saying, oh, I did something wrong. I said, this is not a joke. I said, you got kids hiding under beds, scared that they're going to get killed. You got one girl that was kind of disturbed, the one that left the ranch, and now all you were doing, you thought it was a friggin' joke, and the wife, the mother, was involved too, because she was the one that precipitated the first phone call. And when I reamed him out, and all he said was, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know I did anything wrong. I thought it was a joke. I said, a joke? You got your daughter here, scared stiff, everybody on this ranch, they're trying to do stuff for kids. You got children there with real major problems, and you little punk, you got to scare the hell out of people? Make a long story short, I think he went away forever.
This was Tom Cunningham and his wife, Jackie Cunningham, and they live in Perry Township, Ohio. And they thought this was amusing.
Yeah, well, you know.
And they closed down. Are you hearing this, Charles?
It's
unbelievable.
I mean, I really am stunned that somebody
they closed down airports when people do that. They jerk people off of airports. I mean,
how would you even get that notion?
They were actually emailing Charles, their daughter, threatening the daughter that I'm going to come and get you. The other girl overheard him saying about they're going to kill her. And, I mean, this is the parents precipitating this, thinking it's a joke. And I'm so angry about it because I talked to the moron father, and he says, oh, we were joking around. I would have loved to take this guy and break his jaw and joke around with him.
How is that amusing, for God's sake?
Just, I talked to him, too, Beau, by the way. That's, by the way, Tom Cunningham and his idiot wife, Jackie Cunningham, and they live in Perry Township, Ohio, and they're the ones who thought this was amusing. Well, things are back to normal.
Yeah, and you know, also, Don, I interviewed the two gals there, the two hands there, and they verified the whole story exactly verbatim of what occurred. Jennifer and the other girl that was there, they verified the whole story. So we actually got a case. And if you chose to prosecute this moron, I think we can get an audience from a U.S. attorney because it's interstate. And these people have to realize these ain't a joke. You got children crying, hiding.
I mean, it was horrifying. Because I'm thinking we've got a psycho on this ranch. Oh my God! Now we have a couple of weapons locked up here that I could have taken out of the safe, but oh man!
But I'm gonna tell you something. You and Deirdre were all over this thing.
You were great too, Beau, and you have a great company. And I'm telling you, we rely on you a lot, and I appreciate it. But
get out of it. You guys do a great job there, and things like this, I couldn't believe. If you told me this occurred, and you gave me the scenario of this story, I would say, no way. No. It's unbelievable.
One would think.
Who would think that?
God.
All right, 12.